James is having princess vegetable soup and some orange juice and some rice crackers. And he's going to talk about these books that he began talking about
threatening you with
earlier, but then I didn't give him enough time. So you get to spend dinner with him too.
Yeah. Get ready, guys. Okay. So earlier today, and it was today, I started reviewing this book. I should call it a re-reviewing, but I've never reviewed it before. But this is in essence a rereading. I went through it. So the 80s and 90s, bits and pieces, bits and pieces, the Greek Myths complete edition. So originally it was 2 volumes, and it was put out by Penguins in 2 volumes. But I think in the 90s they decided to put it out in one volume, combined edition. Combined edition, 1992. It's been more than 30 years though. And then these might be, I'm pretty sure one of them is a re-reviewing. Maybe not this one. No, I'm going to start off with this. Nice covers here. I think that's Krishna or Krishna, however you want to mispronounce the name, with the Gopi girls. It's kind of, I think that's a lotus. And this is supposed to be like various, kind of like the universe, various godlings or gods. I think the guy who wrote this book, not the original thing, but the guy who wrote the translations, purports, and stuff like that, thinks that Indian gods like Indra and Shiva, however you want to mispronounce it, gods like that, they are Brahma. He calls them demigods. I'd call them goblins according to his formulation. The real god for him is Vishnu, and his various incarnations, reincarnations, whatever you want to call it. And that would include Krishna and Krishna. I think this guy even included Buddha as the last incarnation of Vishnu. And this is the first volume of the first canto. And so how many volumes are there of what this is called Srimad Bhagavad Gita? That's on the first syllable. On Bhagavad, on both of them, And it's in 50 volumes. There's 50 of these. This is the first one, and it's the one that you can get used, because I think it's used as an introductory volume to the series by the Hare Krishna book. So it's the Hare Krishna movement in the West was started by this guy, and I think he came over, what is the story, 1962 to the United States or something like that. And let's see what it says here. Oh, it's not there. 1962. Let's see how good my memory is. Almost 71-year-old memory. Not much to say about what is his name? Swami Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada. A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada. So he calls himself, or styles himself, a Swami. And for a lot of people, that would be considered this by death to be called a Swami. But people tend to think of Swamis as being kind of people that are be found in a circus tent or something like that. Oh yeah, it has pictures of this self-styled Swami right here. This is when there were photos. He died, I think, in about 1977, maybe. And he was George Harrison's guru of record, I think, up to the time when George Harrison died. So I guess, strictly speaking, wasn't George Harrison's guru anymore, because as I recall, George Harrison died around Christmas time, 2001. So it's just after 9/11. Mistaken? It's the same year. But here are some of his predecessors. Nice pictures here. Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Sarasvati, probably. Goswami, so it has Swami in it, Swami. I think Maharaja actually has. Okay, there he is. He had glasses, so doesn't go that far back in history. Srila Gaurokishara Dasa, I don't have my glasses on. Bahaji Maharaja. It's called Maharaja, which is like an emperor. King of Kings. Big king is what it means. Pretty well, literally. Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakura. One of his predecessors. This guy goes back quite a ways. And let me see if I can see. Okay, so they've got a sketch of the guy who started this movement, Lord Chaitanya, it's called, or Lord Chaitanya, the preacher of Srimad Bhagavad. And so he was born. It's put here, Advent himself. Well, he was born. Advent basically means coming of some sort of deity to the world. So yeah, he's considered, I think, to be maybe did I say they thought Buddha was the last manifestation of Vishnu? But I think they might consider this guy Lord Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu as a manifestation of Krishna or Vishnu's godhood. And so born the year 1407, that's AD. And okay, that's a different accounting system. 1486, so a little before Columbus, 6 years before Columbus. Right? In Bengal. And he died after 48 years. I wish I could find something about this. Sorry. So you get a pretty long kind of explication of this Sri Chaitanya's life, work, and stuff like that. Okay. That's weird. Anyway, I think this guy came to the United States in 1962, somewhere around there. They portray him as being pretty well penniless. He probably was. I wish he died there. Anyway, I think he must have been born, died in 77, born a little before the turn of the century, 1900. Okay. Anyway, this volume comes highly recommended. I would highly recommend that you don't convert to being Hare Krishna. If you want to know what it's like, listen to interminable playings of George Harrison's "My Sweet Lord." That's what they do. Is they do a lot of chanting. They wear nice-looking saffron robes. Usually, they have hairstyles that most people would find creepy. I just find them same, you know, I guess they all wear it, basically. Maybe they've allowed a little bit of latitude when it comes to that sort of stuff. But yeah, they like chanting Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna Krishna, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare, or something like that. And just on and on and on. So George Harrison, actually, by stealing the melody off of He's So Fine, I don't think he did it intentionally. I don't think of him as being a great composer of melodies or anything like that. It was by no means the worst out there. Yeah, he managed to make it more than listenable, palatable. You know? I kind of liked the song back when it came out, 1970. The album was on a very nice person, did a nice person thing for me, bought me the triple album that came out on All Things Must Pass, and it kind of paled after a while. But what can you say about lyrics like that? They're punk rock lyrics that are far more profound, and that's not a glowing endorsement of either punk rock or Muslim war. So yeah, it's recommended reading. It's almost like required reading if you want to say anything about any sort of religion, but particularly Hinduism. You know, you'll get a lot of people saying, oh, Christianity, René Descartes, modern day science is all about dualism. Well, René Descartes did do some scientific work. He's more of a mathematician and maybe a philosopher than he was a scientist. You know, scientists aren't into dualism. So this is a lot of, what do they call themselves? Postmodernists or whatever? Kind of like post-thinking sort of stuff, but what the heck? Takes all kinds. That's not the worst of the stuff that postmodernists get involved in. Keep going around styling themselves as not dualistic. There's no contradiction between the body and the mind, or the spirit and body. This is full of that sort of stuff. You keep on saying, oh, that's a Western tradition. It's full of this stuff. Now understand, this stuff is, you know, like there's a distinction between mind and body body is evil, or spirit and body. Body is evil, according to this guy, okay? So in the Indian tradition, you've got dualists, and you've got, does he call them monists or stuff like that? He doesn't terribly like monists. So, yeah, there is a tradition, I guess, in India where all is one. But, you know, typical scientist says there's no spirit. How is that dualism? Yeah. You see, the big trouble is this postmodernist crap stuff. Sorry. Yeah, I call the spade a spade. I'm not taking that back. I just don't like cussing the internet. More in public, you know. Sometimes I get a little carried away. Anyway, dualism. You know, like scientists are, yeah, postmodernists. They, almost all of the key figures, it seems like came out of France in 1968. That slimy attempt at a coup by commies and their ilk, fellow travelers. And there were a few other places that had attempted coups. I think Germany had one at the same time. I'd be surprised if Italy did. They kind of had stirrings of stuff like that in the United States. Not so much in England and Canada. You know, there is an advantage. I didn't used to believe this, but I believe in results in terms of having a stability, democratic stability, and having a constitutional monarch. And Canada even now has something like a constitutional monarch. We should share the same rules. England does. Same thing with Holland. Same thing with the Scandinavian countries. But you don't find constitutional monarchs around much ever. I was going to say much anymore, but never were. Ancient Athens actually had the constitutional monarchs in Athens, and in a few other places in ancient Greece. Check it up if you don't believe me. Up until, well, this wouldn't be the accepted thing by academics, but who cares what they think. The guy that got rid of the constitutional monarch in Athens was a guy called Alexander the Great. Alexander the Great. Why? Well, he's a king. And Alexander the Great's a king, soon to be emperor of much of eastern part of Europe and the western part of Asia. He was the Athenians having an alternative king. Anyway, this is required reading if you want to flap your gums about Hinduism. This isn't some substance of Hinduism, but it is an important movement in Hinduism. I mean, this thing, when it was 1978, it looks like, when it was reprinted, they'd already put out worldwide, more or less worldwide, a list of, it looks like, more than half a dozen languages, almost 1 million copies. Almost 1 million served. It's not a billion, not quite up to McDonald's performances, but there you go. Anyway, you'll have some interesting things in here, because again, I don't want you to go around yipping and yapping. This is if you're going to be talking about religions in general. I don't want you flapping your gums going around saying every religion is about peace, love, and flowers. There are very few religions that are about love. Maoism in China, what is that? That's not Maoism, I understand. Maoism. And Christianity. And that's about it. Okay. This is not about peace, love, and flowers. Okay, this guy's wearing flowers here, all this sort of stuff, saffron. And so maybe it's a little bit about flowers, but it's not about peace and it's not about love. So, particularly when it comes to dealing with women. So let me see if I can find a quote in here. So this is the first canto, part 3. So there are, as I was saying, 50 volumes in this series. Right here, I've only got, like 1/25 of that whole series. But there's some sobering stuff in here. Anyway, there's a particular section in one of these where a guy is, well, it's several sections, but there's one where it's just, he comes out and says it. Women are compared with children and animals in terms of their ability to basically ratiocinate. Yeah. Also, this guy, where is it? Women are no better than boys. Sati, or Sati, it's kind of spelled Sati, but Sati, we misspell it, S-U-T, I think it's T-E-E in English. It is Sati, for childless widows is justified. Now, what he's at pains, kind of, to say, oh, he wouldn't require it, but it's, he kind of like recommends it. Got that clear? It's not about peace, love, and flowers. And this guy died in 1977. It's less than 50 years ago. And there are people in the United States who still subscribe to this. They had, I doubt if it's closed down, of all places, racist West Virginia. They set up a kind of like a community in West Virginia. Presumably it's still going. Sati justified. That's where a widow kills herself. He says childless widow. And women are compared with boys. I believe also animals, but we'll just go with boys at this point in time. Okay? And understand that's not, neither of those are isolated instances. You can't say he stumbled over them. It's not like he was caught in an interview and kind of let slip something that he didn't mean to say or whatever. Right here. Cold hard print. Yeah. Okay, so I want you to read this if you want to flap your gums about religions in general and Hinduism in particular. Now understand this, there are many, many different theological streams in the Hindu tradition. It's hard to call it a tradition. Understand, I'll be digging out because I'm going through this actually. I'm re-reviewing. I've gone through it completely, and that includes the index, all the back matter, front matter, so on and so forth, 2 times, and I'm about 40% finished it a 3rd time. This one, been on the back burner a while, but I've finished it once, so I'm reviewing it, and I'm through it a 2nd time. There we go, about 40%. So this guy talks about the value of the Varna system. What is that? The caste system. So he's over here, or was over here, converting, I guess, outcasts to Hinduism. And he talks about the, I guess he was a Brahmin, was he? He talks about the value of that system. That system, the Varna system, what does Varna mean in Sanskrit or Sanskrit? It means color. It's racist, okay? And it's classist as well, because people are classed by the occupation of their, not just their father, but their forebears. In other words, it's basically the most amazingly classist system ever invented by humankind. Yeah. So, recommended reading. It's required reading if you want to flap your gums. And, you know, like, I'm requiring that you stay awake while you read it. In other words, you stay alert. And when you run across something that you don't like reading, because you think every religion is about peace, love, and flowers, I want you to make a mental note of it. I want you to make a mental note that you never, ever, ever forget. Am I being hypocritical? No. At one point in time, when I read this kind of stuff, I just let my mind float. Because I'm going, what? You know, I find out that I've, you know, been traveling to other worlds. Not the other worlds that this guy's laying out. But, you know, you eventually got to grow up. Because when I was young, you've eventually got to grow up. So it's required reading, and you better. You know, I didn't flap my gums about religion. I'm not being hypocritical when I wasn't reading these things critically. And critically means looking at the stuff as it really is, not the way you imagine it. Now, folks, I'm almost 71, and you folks out there that think you're superior to me because you know what you're supposed to know, not what is really out there, but what you're supposed to know, you're falling behind unless you're really, really sharp. I don't care if you're 21, you're falling behind. Because this stuff has the original Sanskrit in it. Most of it's in English, but it's got the original Sanskrit in it. And I go through that, okay? Can't say I can read it. I study it. And I'm working towards, if I live long enough with the cancer that I've got, I'm going to read this stuff. A long-term project. I must have been started acquiring these things 40 years ago. Sanskrit. So what is this? Oh, it's got Sanskrit in it. Oh, it's just and more Sanskrit. So it is Lala Vakyani, I presume is somewhat how you pronounce that. Lala Vakyani. And it's been put down in writing, but these were oral, kind of like songs or chants or poems done by a woman who used to live in Kashmir. I think you'd actually say Kashmir. So this is not about sweaters and all that sort of stuff, although those are probably cashmere sweaters were invented in Kashmir. And so this woman used to prance around nude. When was it? About 300, 400 years ago. Semi-nude. Half naked. And doing stuff. So her name was Lala, or Lal Ded. And you see in here, it's got Sanskrit translations. Now originally this was put out in English. It has English translations of her stuff. But it was reprinted in Italy. There's an introduction. And the pages aren't quite matched up. See, like it says page 370, 369, but the first pages don't line up with that sort of stuff, so it was just slapped in here. I guess it was put out in Italy. And see, the original stuff is actually put in italics. This Sanskrit is a translation of the stuff in italics. Then it has an English translation too. But it's in the original Kashmiri, however you want to mispronounce it. So it was oral stuff, so they haven't bothered using let's say a Devanagari script. So this is in the Devanagari script. Mispronouncing it, but that's what Sanskrit tends to be written in. So yeah, so I'm trying to learn Kashmiri. Keep up. I don't care what age you are. 21, 15, 31, 41, 51. You try to keep up with this 71-year-old. I want you applying yourself. I don't want you guys out there flapping your gums about religions and multiculturalism and all that sort of stuff when you barely know English. Or whatever language. There are a lot of flunkies, fake multiculturalists out there, in Europe, so German or whatever. Now, Germans tend to be the ones we run into out here, they speak almost better English than the average Canadian or English person. I don't have to say anything about Americans. So you think it's time's up?
I don't know. You want me to look?
Well, seeing that you're up.
49 seconds.
49 seconds. So, yeah, so I want to talk a little about Americans. Shame on you. Oh, hey guys, get ready, all you lefties. Here we go, ad busters. I was hearing today, or yesterday, reading about a little incident by a militia group in the United States, Dallas, 2016, where 5 cops got killed, 7 injured, and 2 bystanders killed. The militia group was the Black Lives Matter, wiped out 7 people, including 5 cops. And here she is, Angela Davis, trained Marxist. Get ready. You're going to get ad busters busted. I'm looking at this.